Hello and welcome to Creating Active Lives with me, Sarah Bolitho, and my guest this week, Melanie Griffiths. And I'll talk a little bit more about Melanie in a moment. We're here to share kind of the science, but also the strategies that will inspire you to create a more active life in whatever way that works for you. So today I'm really pleased to be talking to Melanie Griffiths. Melanie is she helps women rise and radiate through dance, movement, and holistic healing, and which just floats my boat totally, it really does. But also, we're here really to talk about how she survived cancer through her way. Now, what I will start by saying is both of us strongly recommend that if any diagnosis of cancer is in your life, then speak to the appropriately qualified medical professionals, get all the information you can, and make an informed decision on the best treatment route for you. For some, that might be conventional treatments. For others, it might be a more holistic approach. And for a lot of people, it is a combination of the two. So please, please, please do not think we're saying don't go down that medical route, because it's absolutely essential for some people. But it's important that you get lots of information so that you can decide what works for you and what's best for you. So, Melanie, tell us a little bit about what you do, first of all, and then we'll talk about your experience.
Oh, hi, Sarah. It's really good to be on here and exciting to talk about health and well-being. So what I do is work with primarily women, helping them become more of who they really are in themselves, create better relationships with their bodies, and just thrive in life. And I do this through different styles of dance and fitness that I run, and I do intuitive guidance sessions with people, which helps look below the surface to see the things that might be holding them back that they can't see themselves.
Lovely. And it's really funny because a previous guest, we were talking about being in touch with your body and how quite often people have a fixed body image. I must be. But actually, once you get back in tune with your body and you start appreciating what it can do and how it works, the image of what your ideal body is changes, and it changes from I must look this way to much more of an intuitive feeling a certain
Yeah,
way. You become
yeah,
more grateful for the fact quite often that you've actually not treated your body very well for a number of years, and it's managed to keep going despite that. So yeah. So tell us about what happened with you and cancer, because that's one of the main things we want to talk about.
yeah. So it's it's about 21 years ago, and I sort of have to lay some of the background down because it's relevant to the healing. So I originally grew up doing a lot of dance and got to a point at the age of 18 where I lost interest. I found it sort of pressurizing, just what we were talking about in terms of it was very structured, pressurizing around performance and technique, and I lost the joy of movement. So I stepped away from that, went off on a whole other path, did a business degree, went off traveling, and found myself out in the United States in California. And I started to do some training with a group called the Berkeley Psychic Institute, and they taught me a lot about the mind-body connection, which I was in the sort of phase of discovery at that point. So joined their program, did a lot of learning. In that time, I got very ill. I actually had a diagnosis before of not of cancer, but I'd had menstrual hemorrhaging. So
Right.
I'd lived with that from which is what kind of pushed me down the spiritual route, because I wasn't actually getting answers from the medical profession at that time. So then several years later, I had a smear test that came back abnormal, and it was revealed that there was some cancer in the cervix. And this was happening alongside me realizing that I was not happy in life where I was. I was in a marriage I wasn't happy in. I wasn't doing anything I really wanted to do, but I hadn't really been paying attention to it. So the diagnosis comes in, and I've had this training around the mind-body connection, and I start to put the pieces together. And I realized this diagnosis is indicative of how out of sync I am with myself in my life. I know this, and I kind of had this really strong sense inside. So after the diagnosis, I sat for about a week and sort of drifted in and out of meditation throughout the week. Didn't really talk to anyone because I thought I really need to go deep within myself to find out what to do here. What was being recommended was a radical hysterectomy, radiation of the ovaries, and removal of the lymph nodes, which was a big thing. And I didn't really want to do that. But I also needed to connect with myself to sort of figure out what I did want to do. So I sat for about a week. And at the end of this week, I came out of this space and I thought, need to go back to the UK and I need to leave this marriage. And that was all I knew at that point. And then I started doing some research and I found someone who lived in a different part of the States who'd had a very similar diagnosis to me, but she'd healed herself holistically, was using a macrobiotic diet and other methods. And she worked with women. And I thought, I don't think I want to work with her, but now I know there's someone out there who's done this. I feel sure this is what I want to do. So I came back to the UK and I had sort of made this decision that I want to heal holistically. And it was more of this recognition of, even if I have the things that are being suggested on a medical level, I know that won't change what's going on for me in life. And I think that it's the connection between what's going on in my head, my heart, and my life that's part of my healing from this. So, because people often say, oh, that was very sort of courageous, but I think I wasn't thinking about, I was saying to you earlier, Sarah, I wasn't thinking about survival. I was thinking about healing. And I almost had this sense of, I may not survive, but I'm going to heal. And I kind of had this recognition in that moment that they were two different things. Obviously, I hoped to continue living, but I knew that the healing was really the goal here. So I sort of literally ripped the floorboards up of who I thought I was. That's how I've often described it. And over 4 years, I did a multitude of things. I prayed, I meditated, I journaled, I went back to movement, I took up running because I was intuitively guided to do that. I did some dietary things. I let myself be serendipitously guided to different situations and people that were of benefit to me, read different books. And I slowly put together what I would describe as my own healing program. And at the end, and sort of I'm saying all this in a nutshell, at the end of 4 years, I woke up one morning and thought, I think it's time to go back and get a smear test. So I'd chosen not to work with doctors, and that's a very personal choice. So, and I think it's important, as Sarah said at the beginning, it's really important to know your own self. I didn't make this decision kind of plucking it out of thin air or based on things I'd seen. It was very much, actually, this is what I feel I need to do. So I did rip the floorboards up of who I thought I was. And after four years of doing different things, I woke up and I thought, I need to get a smear test back. And it came back clear. And we had a big party as a family.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? But any diagnosis like this, I think people can go two ways. They can either go into a spiral of, oh, well, that's it. Or, as in your case, it's almost like it shines a magnifying glass on your life.
Yes.
And it makes you think about what isn't making you happy.
Yeah.
And like you say, and before we came on, you were saying it was do or die, and it wasn't a question of you. No, I use the word minding, but it wasn't a question of saying, I must do, or it was like, whatever happens,
yes,
I don't want to be in this unhappy situation.
Yeah.
whatever happens forward.
Yeah,
And like you say, it is about choice. It is. And, for a lot of people, it's a combination of more conventional treatments
absolutely.
as
Yeah,
well as changing your life. And, a lot of the things you said, you were guided, and it's, and sometimes people think, oh, spirituality, and it's all being, you get messages from the whatever. You don't. You just open your mind
yeah,
to possibilities that are already there. You
yeah,
see things.
yeah,
It's a bit like, I always say, it's a bit like going on your normal walk, but noticing things that you wouldn't normally notice because you're too fixed on your phone or getting somewhere
yeah,
quickly. Sometimes when you slow down and open your mind, open your eyes, open everything, you notice these things that are already there.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no invisible force suddenly going, oh, Melanie needs this and Sarah needs that. These opportunities are there. The information's there, but we sometimes are closed off to it because it's not the right time,
yeah,
or it's not the right way it's delivered for us. And I just think sometimes these sorts of things make you slow down and kind of open to, okay, what else is there? What can I do to help myself? And like I say, sometimes people are, well, medical profession, you fix me, that's your job. But it's much better if you can say, right, no, what else? What can I do as well that will improve? Whether it's movement or changing the way you eat or managing your stress levels more. And
yeah,
there's so many different ways, aren't there? But I think you have to be open to
yeah. And we have to,
seeing them.
and I think we have to, especially in the busy worlds that we live in, we have to create the space. And I think
Yeah,
this is what I had at the time. I was able to create that space, and it was like, I often sort of describe it as like clearing the rubbish bin. I
yeah,
had to and journaling was a massive part of it. I was journaling every day, just stuff, clearing, because I couldn't hear or I couldn't sense that connection. And I think it comes through the body as well. And the body, and my sense is the body is showing us, with whatever health issues are coming up, this is out of alignment. This
yeah.
is out of sync. You're not listening. And I often say to my students in classes, with muscles and things, it's like, are they talking to you, or are they now shouting at you because you're not listening?
And that's it, isn't it? Sometimes, it's you wait for a signier sign. No, that's
Yeah,
not. Pain in my knee isn't a sign. It's I'm waiting for my knee to collapse. And it's actually, no, the pain in your knee is telling you there's something. Now, it might be the shoes that you're wearing. It
yeah,
might be that your muscles have got a bit weaker because you're not doing as much. There could be any number of reasons.
yes,
But it's kind of, okay, what's going on here? And it's, like I get aura migraines, so I don't get the headache. I get the visual disturbance.
oh yeah,
And when that kicks in, it's a sign for me to say, okay, what am I not paying attention to? And I'll take a couple of painkillers and it goes away, because obviously I don't particularly want to have the sparkles. But it's not, oh, I'll take painkillers, it will go away, forget it. It's, okay, what's going on?
yeah, yeah,
What's my mind trying to tell me?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think, again, we've lost that sort of connection with our bodies. And you talk about movement, and I know you do Nia, which is for the, well, you can explain what it is in a moment, but I have done a couple of sessions, and it is really quite cellular is a word I want to use, and I'm not sure
yeah,
why. But again, we often tend to think of things like movement as hot and sweaty in the gym and running as fast as we possibly can. We've lost that kind of joy, which is something you mentioned. We
yeah,
need to enjoy movement, and for some people it's gentle, and for some people it's brutal.
yeah.
It's what gives you that sense of joy, of being in touch with your body, isn't it?
Yeah, completely, completely. And I realized sort of in the last 10 years that this relationship with my body and movement is my lifelong path. It's been going, I remember being a tot and being a fidgety child, and my mum putting me in tumble top classes because I wouldn't sit still. And that was the beginning of realizing movement was a massive part of how I connected to myself and the planet, and then it's just been an evolving journey since. And I'm glad you brought Nia up, because Nia was the system that brought me back into the joy of dance. It was, dance up until that point for me had been about training for exams, performance. So you were in a slightly, and I still maintain this now, with performance, you were in a slightly altered sense of yourself because you were creating shapes for the visual aspect of how they looked, not for how they felt from within your body. And Nia taught me about movement is coming from within. And we can create those same shapes, but it has to feel good. So we get there in a different way. And it was, it was absolutely. I mean, I've often joked that Nia is the longest thing I've had a relationship with. I've been in a relationship with Nia for...
But it's the thing I liked about Nia is there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
With a lot of other things, there's pressure on you to look or be in a certain position, and sometimes it's okay to get things wrong. Sometimes it's okay to do things in your way. Anyone who listens will know that I can't journal. Journaling just doesn't fit with me, but I sketch instead. So I'll sit down every day and do a sketch of something, and sometimes it's something I've seen during the day. Sometimes it's what's going on in my head, which can be bizarre. Sometimes I just let it comes out in that way. But I've also started doing tiny little embroideries, so just a little object, and they're the size of your little fingernail. They're very small and they're very bad. They're really bad, a bit like my sketching, but I don't care because it's my way of expressing something. And sometimes I think we need to let go of that. It's got to be perfect, it's got to be good, it's got to look a certain way. Do you know what, sometimes it's okay to colour outside the lines, but we've got so fixed with that sense of choreography or aesthetics that we've forgotten about the joy of moving regardless of how it looks. And that's so important, isn't it? And for me, that's what Nia does, is you feel the movement rather than doing the movement, if that makes sense.
And I think it's that authentic, what I call authentic movement. People they're just not we're not guided into that. And I hate to bash the fitness industry, but I do think that they are responsible for a lot of very structured approach, which can work for some people and it doesn't work for everybody. And I think it still creates this disconnection. The industry is almost set up to create this disconnection. And I think from authentic movement, you can still build strength. You can still become a fantastic performer. And I think that since I started on my journey with Nia, which was about 35 years ago, the world has shifted. The dance world has shifted, and elements of the fitness industry as well. So there is more availability on that level. But I still think it's there, that lack of permission.
Our bodies are designed to move, and when you think about the way we're designed to move in less structured ways, if you like, and fitness is my background. It has been for decades, and I have seen a lot of changes. And yes, for a lot of the equipment and the machines, you have to have certain techniques. You have to be doing things in a certain way. But the problem is that's not necessarily how our bodies move in real life. We do things in like you say, in a very structured, very linear way in fitness, but our bodies don't move that way when we're moving. And I think there's place for both, definitely, but quite often the aims in fitness are to get fitter or stronger, whereas the aims of movement for me are enjoyment and just being able to keep moving in a certain way. And anybody who's done a course with me will know about one of my rants, and I had another one the other day about something else. I do rant a little bit because I think we're very as I say, there is a place for structured exercise, but it should be as a way of getting people to be able to move more freely in their normal life, rather than as a just get fitter, get stronger, lift more weight. Why are you doing that? It's, for me, we need to be I know when we talk about cross training, it's about doing different types of activity, but actually we need to be cross moving.
Absolutely.
We need some structure, but equally we need the freedom and flexibility of moving for the joy of moving, even if it's completely random.
And
It's
I
on
think
top.
it, yeah, and I think it ties in. I often have people, less so now, I think, because I'm clearer with what I'm doing, but and I see it out there, women and weight loss,
Ah,
and they, and they come at the whole movement piece from an outside place, and I think, but actually, if you just engage from an internal place, your body shape will shift in an organic way that is aligned and feels good for you, and is ultimately sustainable.
absolutely. And also, but also listening to your body. Am I actually hungry?
Yeah.
Or am I thinking about food because it's lunchtime
Yes.
or whatever? It's
Yeah.
getting back in touch with hunger, but also pausing to think, what's my body asking for at the
Yeah.
moment? What does it need? And it's funny, actually, just talking about the joy of movement and stuff. And anyone out there who's ever been to a nightclub, disco, whatever you call, think about the movements, the shape, you just literally, you
Yeah.
do whatever feels good for the music.
Yeah.
And you don't sit there thinking, oh, this is how I must move in this way or that way. You just do what feels good.
Yeah.
And some of it is utterly bizarre and some of it is maybe a little bit more traditional, but just remember the joy that you feel coming home from that sort of
Yeah.
environment late at night. Um, the sheer, God, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. That was such a fun night out. And a lot of it is because you were moving your body in a way that is just free.
Yeah.
But we don't connect that. We think, oh, it was because of the friends or they've had a glass of wine or whatever, or the music. We don't necessarily connect it with the fact that we've moved our bodies in just a joyfully free way. And I think we need to get back in touch with moving for the sake of it. And I know a lot of people now who they do, I believe it's called naked running, which always sounds a bit dodgy, but it's not running naked, because please don't do that, because you might get arrested. But it's running with no technology. So you just go for a run for the joy of running, and you run for as long as you feel like. And it's like, oh, how far did you run? Don't know. How long were you running for? Don't know. I just ran because I felt like running.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's coming back to that sort of, I'm going to do what feels right for my body today. And that
Yeah.
might be some resistance training. It might be dancing. It might just be to go for a very slow walk.
Yeah. And it's having that permission, isn't it? And when you were talking about the nightclub dancing, I was thinking how people put that in a box, and then they put their fitness and their movement in another box, and it's like, well, hold on a minute. You're still moving, you're still engaging, and not maybe not compartmentalizing it all,
Yeah.
so that actually movement is something that we get and is beneficial whatever we're doing. And I always think back to before the days of technology, and you obviously going back further through history, when life was a lot more physical generally.
Yes. Yes.
And we didn't
And
have to create things to go to
no,
get.
this is it. We didn't have to create opportunities to be active, because
Yeah.
we actually had to create opportunities to stop,
Yeah.
because lives were busy. Go back to, say, the 50s.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot of people had fridges or anything, which
Yeah.
meant shopping had to be done daily. They
Yeah.
probably almost certainly didn't have two cars in the household. The husband might have taken one. And I'm not stereotyping here. It is how things were in the 50s. You can't get away from that. So the woman probably walked to and from the shops every single day to get fresh
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
So, and in actual fact, I've got some statistics that probably the average woman did around 4,500 calories a week on just household
Wow.
tasks, not
Yeah.
activity or exercise or anything, but just on household tasks.
Yeah.
Whereas we probably do less than 400 now, because everything's automated. And again, like you say, we compartmentalize fitness, clubbing,
House cleaning. Yeah.
yeah, we should be looking more at general activity. And I
Yeah.
think, we know physical inactivity is a risk factor for cancer, for obesity, for cardiovascular disease, for so many things.
Yeah.
Physical inactivity is a known risk factor, and it's actually up there, probably the highest now. Smoking is obviously the worst thing you can do, but fewer people smoke now, but more people are physically inactive. And by physically inactive, I don't mean doesn't exercise. I mean, they're not active in their everyday life,
Yeah.
because exercise, structured exercise, yeah, great, do it if you want to, if that, fab. But what are you doing for the rest of the time?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because I often say to people, look at your own body, look at the skeleton, look how everything is designed to move. We're not designed to sit still. So yes, that might be part of your job, but you have to recognize that actually your skeleton isn't actually designed for that, and so it's going to need engaging more.
yeah, and we have what we call freely movable joints, and
Yeah,
they the what the whatever is in the name, it's movable, and yet we get stiff because we're not moving these joints and not finding a way. And it's, for so many people, it's about finding what works for them, what lights them up, what they look forward to. And that might be a walk in nature, it might be near
yeah,
dancing, it might be, going back to ballet for the fun
yeah.
of it. It might be the gym or wherever, whatever. But it's the, I mean, as somebody once said, the best exercise is the one that you do.
That's what I've always said. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
the one you're going to stick with, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like, and
and
often
then,
it's a combination. As you start to really get in touch with your body, it's like, well, today I want to do something slow, and then
yeah,
tomorrow I want to do something fast, and today I want to do something cardiovascular, and tomorrow I want to do something with a little bit of weight bearing in it. And yeah, and you build your own program.
yeah. It's noticing. Gosh, actually, I'm going upstairs is getting a little bit tougher, so maybe I need to do a little bit of work on my muscles.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
but it's again, it's you need to get back in touch with your body, and it sounds like for you, even though you were doing things already, there was a definite pull towards becoming a lot more holistic, a
yeah,
lot more joined up between your
yeah.
mind and your body.
Well, when I got the cancer diagnosis, I was not doing anything. This is what's interesting. I hadn't danced in years. And as I remember being out for a walk, and I was living in Maine at the time, so on the east coast of America. And this would have been in winter, so it was just snow everywhere. And I remember being out for a walk, and I almost, and this might sound a bit sort of spiritual woo woo for people, but I did hear this sort of voice in my head say, I want to go faster. And that's when I started to take up running, but not running as in timing,
Mm,
what the sort of running you've been talking about, where
yeah.
I would just put my shoes on and go as far as I wanted to go and come back. And so that was the beginning of sort of re-engaging. And then I think the next class I stepped back into was a belly dance class. And then I found my way back to Nia. And then I realised I wanted to go back to my original dance training, which was sort of jazz and ballet. And then I wanted to and so it just kept evolving. And then I wanted to teach. And so then I got my aerobics instructor license. And then I found myself teaching hen dance parties and themed.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it all kept evolving, my own journey with movement in my body, and then what I was sort of delivering in the world as well.
I mean, it is interesting, isn't it? Because I think the more we move, the more we want to move.
Yeah.
And the more we want to move in different ways.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's like today I feel like doing this, and today actually I feel like doing a bit more.
Yeah.
And today, no, I'm going to do a bit of gentle stretching or whatever. But it's the more you move, the more you realise you want to move. And it's again, it's finding that initial step, isn't it? If
Yeah.
people are inactive, if people are doing very little movement and activity, it's finding something that you think, okay, I can do this. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying this. And then what else could I do?
Yeah.
Where else can I have a look? I think you start to look for things. I mean, it could, like you've mentioned loads of different things, but it could be swimming, it could be martial arts. Yeah, it's something that you look forward to,
Yeah.
and that you come away from thinking, I'm doing this. And I
Yeah.
think, a lot of the time people they try things out that are above the level they're currently at. And
Yeah.
they go away thinking, oh, that was too hard, it was too difficult, I couldn't keep up. And then they blanket the whole activity thing with, it's not for me,
Yes.
rather than saying, do you know what, that class wasn't the right level for me. where can I find one that is the right level? And I
Yeah.
sometimes think as instructors, we see people, and instead of saying, look, this is probably a next level class for you, I recommend you go and see Jane down the road, because actually her class will be a better level for you now. And then once you've done that for a while, you can come back up to this. And I think, again, within the fields, we need to be recognizing when something isn't right for somebody, but giving them a suggestion of what is. So
Yeah.
they don't go away thinking it's not for me. They go away thinking, oh, that sounds interesting.
And I think another thing people do is they see out there some new fitness fad that's advertised.
We're both laughing, by the way. You can't see, but we're both chuckling.
Both laughing because we've been in the fitness industry long
Yeah.
enough to know how this game works.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and they go, oh, I need to be doing that.
Yeah.
They start doing that thing and they either hate it or like you say, the level is too high for them. And so they continue to force themselves to do it. So they're building an unhappy relationship with their bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. The body's kind of going, no.
Yeah.
No. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. There is nothing new in fitness.
No,
It's all
that's
just
what I
different
always
packaging.
say.
Yeah.
I say
There's nothing new.
Nothing new.
There are different ways of doing things. There are things that are repackaged or renamed or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think step was probably the last thing that was completely brand new.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a variation on a theme. And even step's just a variation on running up and down stadium stairs that they used to do for athletes.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing that is brand new. It's just a new packaging. It's a new way of doing it. And fair play. People buy into it. They go and give it a go, and it all. But I've lost count of the number of things that have fallen by the wayside. And it's a shame because some of them were fun.
Yeah.
But they didn't capture the attention, probably because, like you say, they were too high a level for most people coming in to try it. And it doesn't matter what you do. It just matters that you do something.
Yeah.
And if you're doing nothing, then some is better than none. And then once you're doing some activity, you can look at doing more or different activities. But don't push yourself. Start if you're doing nothing, then 5 minutes a day of just free dancing.
Yeah, that's what I've often said. Just put on a playlist or create a playlist on YouTube or Spotify, whatever you do, and start moving in your living room, your kitchen, your bathroom, whatever. Or 5 minutes walk around the block one way, 5 minutes back, and it's like, or in your chair, start move. If you have a sitting job, get
up and move around.
I think people don't think of that, do they? And I think I'm going to blame the fitness industry again.
Sorry, fitness people.
Sorry, fitness.
I'm in the industry. There are bits of it I love, and there are bits of it that they take it too seriously sometimes.
I know. I think they don't connect enough with people literally just getting off the couch for the first time.
Yeah,
and that that first flush of connection in movement with your body. And that's the bit, because that's the bit that ignites that inspiration. And then people are like, oh, I want to do more from there.
Exercise to energize, whereas most people exercise to exhaustion.
Yeah.
And then they feel awful and they ache and they can't do anything and they go away, oh, this is horrible, I don't like it. Whereas if you come away thinking, oh, actually, that's given me a bit of energy, then you'll think, next time you're feeling knackered, you'll think, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go for a quick walk around the block because that always gives me a bit more energy. And it's like you say, it might be 5 minutes and that might grow to 6 minutes and then 7 minutes and then 10 minutes. People think, oh, the guidelines are, 150 minutes a week or 20 minutes a day. I can't do that.
I'm not getting the benefits unless I'm in exhaustion. That's something that I've seen come up a lot. And I'm like, no, where did we get that? That was the 80s, I reckon.
No pain, no gain. I'm sorry, but pain means
pain.
There's something wrong. Yeah, and again, it's let's get the message out there that any movement matters.
Yeah.
And maybe we stop talking about exercise and fitness and we just talk about moving. We talk about the joy of movement. We talk about just letting our bodies do something that they feel good. And like you say, certain songs come on and you hear them and you want to move. If that's what motivates you, create that playlist, create that kind of thing, or look at something that may be a bit different.
Yeah.
There's I spend a lot of time in the States, and the whole Ninja Warrior I mean, it's huge over there. You can't move for ninja gyms, and it's different,
Yeah.
but it's whole body holistic and fun, and it's challenging, and it's hard, and it can bits of it are easy. It's if that's what floats, give that a go.
Yeah.
If that's not what floats your boat, see if there's a nice spa near you that
Yeah.
does, nice gentle classes.
Yeah.
It's giving things a go, and but being informed about it, not saying, oh, I went to that class and it was too hard, therefore exercise is bad for me. It's saying, do you know what, that's not my type of exercise. This is.
Yeah.
See what fitness walks or health walks there are in your area, because there's bound to be some. There's a lot
Yeah.
of women's walking groups as well, if people feel more comfortable in a
They don't want
group.
to go on their own. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's trying things out and saying, yeah, that's not for me. Because then if someone says, oh, what about doing this? You can say, no, I've tried it. I don't like it. This is what I prefer. You've made an informed choice on what works for you at this time. You might change your mind
Yeah.
about things,
And
but
I think that does, I think through life, that's the other thing I've noticed is it's like your body may not want to do the same things at 20 that it did at 20 when you're 50 or 60
yeah,
or 70 or 80. It might, but it might not. And it's being open to that shift as well, that
yeah.
we evolve with it, with our bodies.
And
Yeah.
it's understanding how how everything about your body changes
Yeah.
with age. It doesn't have to be a decline,
Yeah.
but it's different. So it's not saying, oh, I'm getting older, I must slow down. It's saying, I'm getting older. What can I do to stay fit and healthy?
Yeah.
And for me, don't start thinking about slowing down as you get older. Think about speeding up, actually, because like for a lot of women, menopause average age 50 or so.
Yeah.
Potentially, you've got another 30, 35 years of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to start slowing down.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
to start getting fit to enjoy your retirement
Yeah.
rather than
It
slowing down to slump into it.
Yeah, it might be taking an adjustment, a little mental adjustment
Yeah,
to go, okay, where am I now? What works for me now? And I definitely found that with movement. I found when I went into menopause that I did have to kind of think differently, and things did shift, and and it affected my work as well in terms of teaching. But it was just, okay, I need to sit down again, find the quiet and tune in to what do I need to do from here? What feels good now? What feels good in terms of movement now? And again, still shifting on a daily, weekly basis, but I did notice a shift from pre-menopause to
yeah.
being in
But
menopause. Yeah.
it's not. It's changing what you
Yeah.
choose to do rather than stopping what you
Yeah.
choose to do. And if,
Yeah.
like me, jumping in puddles is your thing, then carry on jumping in puddles,
Yeah.
even if your grandchildren look at you strangely. But why not? It's
Yeah.
fun. It's so important. And I think the thing that's really coming across from what we're talking about is we'll probably have to have another episode at some point. Carry on. Maybe we'll big up the fitness industry next time. And I think both of us know that there is a very, very important place for the fitness industry in our
Absolutely.
world.
Yeah.
But it isn't the only option. And there are a lot now of very informed instructors who actually work in very different
Yeah.
fields, and can really support people in creating an active life, which is what we want. But what's coming across really is, it's being informed enough to be able to make the decisions about whatever you do, whatever you choose. It's getting all the advice you can, and then choosing whether it's to do with treatments, whether it's to do with movement, whether it's to do with the way you live your life. It's not just blindly picking something and saying it. It's, okay, I've got all the information I want. This is for me. That
Yeah.
isn't for me. And having critically making a decision rather than just, oh, look, I've read an article that said this, bang, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It's critically evaluating the information to make the best decision for you at that time. And do you know what? You can always change your mind. You can always
Yeah.
make a different decision at some point. And
Yeah.
I think that's what's really important. So where can people find out more about what you do?
So I have a website, and I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube.
Brilliant.
And yeah.
So I think your website, you're like me, you've just used your name for ease. So melaniegriffiths.com. I'll put all the links in the thing as well. But so if people do want to find out more about you, they can contact you and see what goes on.
Yes.
What would be your overriding kind of message, if you like, for people?
I think make it a priority to get to know your body, and cultivate that relationship. However you do that, so you can listen and then take appropriate action, as you were saying, Sarah, whether that's health, whether that's your fitness, all of it. But make that a priority, I think. Yeah.
Brilliant. Melanie, thank you so much for coming on. It has been really interesting. And, it just, again, it reinforces for me that, movement and active life is what matters, not, exercise and rigidity. It's the fluidity, the flexibility, and the joy of movement that we need to get back in touch with. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting. I have no doubt you'll be back on again. We can talk about something else at some point because it's been really good. And to everybody out there, thank you for listening to Creating Active Lives with me, Sarah Bolitho, and my guest this week, Melanie Griffiths. Join me in each episode for more on how to create safe, sustainable, and more importantly, enjoyable activity in your life, because at the end of the day, we want more joy. So thank you for listening, and listening again soon.
Thanks, Sarah.